Now, cycling is a sport that is rapidly growing in Kenya. Riders spend hours a day training their respective races. But what is involved in a cyclist training, and how does science play a crucial role? Our reporter Emmanuel Dungu took a deep dive into the topic with some of the Kenya's National Cycling Federation coaches. Let's take a listen.
I'm sure you're familiar with the sight of a cyclist fully kitted out training on our local roads. But what are they actually doing? Are they just pedaling? Or is there more behind the training to get them to their peak performance? Today, we're going to find out with the help of some Kenyan national team coaches.
Right, is he going to make it stick? Kwiatkowski tries to come around the outside. Kwiatkowski's there, they bunch up. Kwiatkowski has a lead. Oh, I cannot tell you at the line.
Professional cyclists are among the fittest people on earth. A race that you may be familiar with, the Tour de France, is a 3,500-kilometer bike race raced over 21 days to crown the rider who finishes the total distance in the shortest time. Unimaginable endurance is required to compete at the highest level of cycling. Training for cycling is like any other sport. It's their life. Cyclists need to eat, drink and sleep in anticipation of the next time they step foot on the bike. They also need to follow a structured training program tailored to their needs and goals.
When you see a cyclist on the road, this guy is definitely training one way or the other. Because when you're training, we have different levels. We have zone 1, we have zone 2, we have zone 3, up to 4.
The zones mentioned are critical to plan a cyclist training. Commonly, zones are based on a rider's heart rate. This essentially divides the athlete's heart rate range into specific zones to give a better picture of which energy system is being used at any given time. Zone 1 is anything under 65% of your maximum heart rate and is where we spend the majority of our time when sitting down, walking, or doing other basic activities. Zone 2 is between 65 and 75% of your maximum heart rate and is still completely aerobic. You're breathing heavier, but you're still in control and can spend hours at this intensity. Zone 3 is a moderate zone between 75 and 84%, which trained riders can sustain for up to 4 hours. Zone 4 is a high-intensity bracket between 85 and 94% of a cyclist's max and greatly emphasizes the higher threshold muscle fibers. Riders also use it to improve their ability to sustain high power outputs for longer periods, but your body can only maintain this intensity for between 30 and 60 minutes. Zone 5 is the highest zone between 95 and 100% of your maximum heart rate and requires the maximum amount of oxygen that the body can utilize. Even trained riders are lucky to maintain Zone 5 for more than 8 minutes at a time.
You have to have your year goals set out the year before, so that when you start during the year, you set your goals. Is it the Olympic that you want to qualify? Is it a race that is in August, as you said, that you want to qualify? And for that, you identify the other races, the build-up races that you're going to have. And then you break down your training into, say, August is the 8th month. So you break down your training into like blocks and how to approach up to the 8th month of it.
Once a rider has a desired goal, the coach then organizes their training into training blocks, gradually increasing the intensity and making the workouts more specific to their event. Someone training for a 6-hour gravel race will train very differently from someone doing a 1-hour mountain bike race.
We say cycling is a sport of endurance for sure, but somebody who's doing 6 hours will have to train for more endurance than the person who's going to spend 1 hour on the road. The 1-hour rider, most likely we are going to train for power, and this is a person we have to train for more of his endurance.
A typical training session is based on time and intensity. A rider training for a longer race should spend more time on the bike, so an example session could be a 4-hour or 100-kilometer ride in Zone 2, while throwing in some sustained periods of high intensity. In this case, 3 by 15 minutes at Zone 4. Someone training for a shorter race will likely train for less time while spending shorter bouts at a higher intensity. Not all of a cyclist's training is spent on the road, though. The gym plays a crucial part in conditioning the body for the demands of bike racing. This also goes for youth and para-athletes who train for similar goals in their respective events.
Well, we have one paracyclist that is selected for the Olympics, but we also have a group that is supposed to be leaving for Belgium on the 29th this month. So they're supposed to go. So we're expecting maybe a list of 5 others to be selected for the Olympics. Yeah.
I recently trained the athletes who went to the Youth Commonwealth Games in Trinidad last year, and the performance was great.
So, drivers, you never know. The cyclist you could be overtaking could be one of Kenya's Olympic prospects training for Paris this year. So please, exercise caution, and give 1.5 meters allowance every time. And for cyclists, you can do your part to keep safe as well by having lights so that you remain visible. Reporting for KBC Channel 1, I'm Emmanuel Ndungu.